Welcome to the Bio Girl Health Show with Carol Newman. Do you want the energy and vitality you need to fully enjoy your life and all of its possibilities? Carol Newman can help teach you how to nourish your body with healthy organic living, keeping you beautiful inside and out. And now, here's your host.
Hello, this is Ken Bowery filling in for your host, Kimberly Henry. I have the privilege of being here with Carol Newman, and today on Bio Girl Health Show, we will be talking with Carol about diet conundrums. Now, before Carol joins us, just a reminder to you, our listeners, that if you have any questions, comments, or would like more information from Carol during the show or really at any time, you can contact Carol on Twitter using our hashtag BioGirlHealth. You can also follow us on Facebook. Welcome, Carol, and thank you for joining us.
Hi, Ken. It's great to be here, as always. I just love doing the show. How are you today?
I am very pleased, especially to be helping out and hosting this show. I have been following your BioGirl Health and enjoy the information that you are posting on there. With diet conundrums, it is an interesting topic because there are so many diets out there. We have all heard about diets like Atkins and Weight Watchers and Jenny Craig. There's always seems to be something new coming around. Is there a new fad that you're hearing about, Carol?
Yes, and I will share two of them with you. The first one is it's a book. It's the 8-Hour Diet, Watch the Pounds Disappear Without Watching What You Eat. Doesn't that sound great? You don't have to watch what you eat.
It does sound great.
And that is by David Zinczenko with Peter Moore. And it claims that Americans can trim their waistlines by limiting the time of day that they consume food, by restricting eating to just an 8-hour window during the day. And the second one was the 17 days to a significant weight loss. And all you have to do is follow the 17-day diet plan. You add 17 minutes of exercise to your daily routine, and you start each morning with a cookie.
Ooh, I like that too. I don't know which one sounds better, just not having to worry about what I eat or having a cookie in the morning.
It sounds great, but of course, there is a special recipe for the cookie.
There's always that glitch, that catch.
Isn't that the truth? Always a glitch.
Yeah.
But what's interesting, Ken, is as far back as antiquities, before the Middle Ages, you really didn't hear much about dieting, on a regular basis like people do now. And the first popular diet I found was called the Banting diet, and it was named after William Banting. And this was as early as 1863.
1863. Well, what can you tell us about diets now?
Well, first of all, we'll take a little closer look at just the word diet. Diet was originally thought to be food and drink regularly provided or consumed for nourishment, or the kind and amount of food prescribed for a person for a special reason. But diet as we know it now is a regimen of eating and drinking sparingly, or reducing our intake, or limiting or restricting foods and calories to lose weight. And as yes. And as we found out, diets come and go, and you probably remember the grapefruit diet.
Yes, I do. Yes.
It was a diet was full of variety. Pun intended.
Grapefruit, and more grapefruit.
Yes.
Right.
But no, realistically, though, when you think of that diet, how long can you really stick to a diet like that?
Yeah, not too long, I don't think.
Matter of fact, speaking of fruit, because the grapefruit diet, recently Ashton Kutcher, he was preparing for the role of Steve Jobs, and I guess Steve Jobs was a fruitarian. He went through a time of his life where he was on fruit diets. So in order to prepare for the role, Ashton Kutcher wanted to do the same thing. And he ended up 2 days before the filming, he was doubled over in pain and went to the hospital, and his pancreas levels were like whacked out. So
wow.
Yes. So that was
because of the fruit diet?
That's what they were saying, yes.
Wow.
And so that was just another example.
Yes. And examples of diets. Have you ever heard of the seafood diet?
I can't say I have, believe it or not.
I think most Americans are on it because whatever they see, they eat. And I think that's something.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, you're such a kidder.
Yeah, well, no, I think a lot of Americans are just doing that. What can you tell us about diet?
Well, of course, you mentioned the corporate diets, such as the Jenny Craig and the Weight Watchers. And incidentally, with the Weight Watchers, I know several people that are on Weight Watchers, including my sister. I've never been on Weight Watchers. And you have to weigh in once a month. And she was telling me, she gets really perturbed, that she has to pay money when she gains weight because she's a lifetime member. When she signed on, she said what her goal weight was. So if your goal weight is 129 pounds, if you weigh in at 131 pounds, you have to pay. And she has to pay like $13. She just was complaining to me about it. And
Wow.
I said, well, don't go and weigh in. She said, well, if I miss weighing in, I still have to pay. She's like, sorry, you still have to pay. And I said, well, to me, that would not motivate me to lose weight. It would motivate me to quit Weight Watchers. So that was just one example there. And then the Atkins diet, and you have the Dukan diet, which there's similarities between those. They're more protein-based. And then there's different phases of the diet. Then there's the GI diet, which is GI stands for glycemic index, and you want to avoid high glycemic foods because they're broken down so quickly they cause a spike in your blood sugar. So you want to use the low glycemic foods.
Okay.
So like raw carrots would be considered low glycemic, but cooked carrots would be considered a high glycemic. And then you had the Mediterranean diet, and then there was the Nutrisystem diet plan, which was a diet with ready-made meals, but I guess it could get quite costly. Then there was the PINK method, and PINK stands for Power, Intensity, Nutrition, and Cardio. Then there was the raw diet, which was based on consumption of foods in their natural state.
That sounds good.
It does, doesn't it? Because I like raw foods and fruits and vegetables, so that does sound kind of good. And then there was the Slim Fast diet, which was having a shake and then smaller meals later in the day. And then you had the South Beach diet. Of course, there's a plethora of diets out there, and I'm just scratching the surface here of the more popular diets.
Well, Carol, what would constitute a good diet?
Well, I'm not saying, of course I mentioned all the ones that I have, that any of them are good or bad, but what I have discovered from talking with the dieters out there, I'll use the term dieters, it sounds to me like many of the diets promote yo-yo dieting, so what works for one may not work for someone else, but what we do know is what weight loss programs have in common, and that is to shed pounds, calorie restriction. A person loses weight by burning more calories than they consume. And sometimes it's hard to get started on a diet. And at BioGirl Health, I'm here to motivate you. I'm here to help you understand that it doesn't have to be a diet in the term of restriction. So don't think of it as dieting. Think of it as eating in moderation. Look forward to looking and feeling your best. I mean, all of us want to look and feel our best. And take it from one who's been there and done that. I've tried a lot of different things as far as different healthy ways of eating and so forth. And what I found is, your body gives you feedback when you eat certain foods.
Well, for us that want to, be a good steward of our physical shape and all that, but we're not used to something, so what would be a good start for us?
What I like to do, Ken, in the morning is I start out with a protein smoothie or protein shake.
Oh, I do a protein shake.
Oh, you do? Do you have a good recipe you'd like to share with our listeners?
Well, I like chocolate, so I do a chocolate whey protein shake, and I add a banana, and use a tablespoon or a good tablespoon of almond butter, some ice cubes to thicken it up, and some almond milk, and it's pretty good. But I've heard there's an isolate and a non-isolate, or I can't remember what terminology is, but I'm not sure what whey protein. I kind of look for the cheapest protein out there, protein whey. And do you have a recommendation on what you should use?
Well, I have to tell you, Ken, you're doing yourself a disservice by using the protein isolate. And the reason for that is, of course, we know there's no shortage of whey protein products on the market. But unfortunately, for most of them, the health benefits are not there for the ones that are isolated. And of course, the high quality isn't there either. And first of all, the protein isolates are devoid of nutritional cofactors, including alkalizing minerals, naturally occurring vitamins and lipids, which are lost because of the processing. And this renders them deficient and overly acidifying. And protein concentrates actually have the alkalizing minerals, so you won't get over acidic. And it's common for bodybuilders, whether men or women, will consume large amounts of protein powders. And what can happen with that is they can get metabolic acidosis from the overconsumption of the acidifying isolated protein.
So protein makes muscle, but you're saying that the isolate is just it isn't balanced. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. And that's why through my research I found a protein powder that is a whole protein concentrate, a whey protein concentrate.
Wow.
And
is that the protein that's at www.defenseproteinpowder.com?
Yes, that's exactly the one.
Okay.
And it's of the finest quality. I wanted something that I would myself recommend and I use all the time. And one of the main things is that it's bioactive, it's non-denatured, which means it hasn't been chemically processed. And also they do a cold processing which preserves the nutrients also, and they don't use, it's a non-acid flushed whey protein. And more importantly is they derive their whey from pasture-fed cows, and so between all these different variables in their processing, it makes it perfect for muscle nourishment and immunosupport. And it has a really nice, fresh, clean, creamy taste because it's so natural. There isn't any additives or anything like that. And it's also kosher certified too, so that was the main reasons why I chose that.
Yeah, you've done a lot of research on this, and that's one thing I said earlier that I appreciate about your website is that there's so much thought and information on those, and I thank you for doing all this research. I mean, you already obviously know what you're doing. So if I want to get a good whey protein, I should go to www.defenseproteinpowder.com.
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Well, is there any other pearls of wisdom you would like to share with your listeners?
Absolutely. For one, don't diet. Eat healthy. Healthy food can make you fit, it can make you strong, and we know, of course, that junk food, on the other hand, can make you fat and ill. It's really all just common sense. Common sense in moderation. My Aunt Marie, in one of the episodes, 99 years old and still driving, that was her motto, common sense in moderation. And we also need to understand the value of eating healthy. Regardless of your dietary choices, we need to remember too to listen to our bodies, like I said earlier, and to know that each one of us have a unique biochemistry and genetics. So go with what your body is saying to you when you're eating certain foods, because you can eat healthy foods and they may not be